Welcome to Esalen Live, where we chat with change agents and swim deep waters in an ongoing exploration of human potential. I'm your host, Christine Chen. Some say if we want to experience transformation, we need to cultivate self awareness. But do we know what that really is? Today on Esalen Live, we have a really special guest. Her name is Lori Schwanbeck. She believes that joy and an awakening might be the key to the wonders of every day in a way to cultivate self awareness. And she has so much more to add to this conversation, too. So we're super happy to have Lori Schwanbeck with us here on Esalen Live. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Christine. Thanks for that introduction.
Yeah, you're welcome. You deserve it. So, one question is what's bringing you joy right now? Just before we went live here, we were just talking about we just kind of don't know what to do right now as we stand by for all these things to transpire. And I think it's important to just say, what is bringing me joy? So, how about you?
Oh, that's a great question. What is bringing me joy right now is the fact that I am looking out over a beautiful sea and skyscape. And I just feel so fortunate every day to be able to see the beauty of the vastness of the sky and the blue of the water and the green of the trees. So nature brings me joy.
Nature brings you joy. I love that. Hey, if you're joining us on Esalen Live, thank you so much. That's bringing me joy that you're here with us. We're with Lori Schwanbeck. She and her partner, Mark Coleman, have a workshop coming up, which we will talk about in a little bit. But tell us where you're joining from and tell us what's bringing you joy right now as we continue this discussion. And of course, if you have any questions for Lori, feel free to float them into the chat. And we have Liz joining from Los Alamos. Hello, Liz. So you mentioned, Lori, nature, and that's bringing you joy, and you combine nature and mindfulness in your work with others. Tell us how exactly we combine those two. You clearly do already.
Well, in my work, I work individually with people as a psychotherapist and coach. I also work in organizations teaching mindfulness and emotional intelligence. And, mindfulness, for those who don't know, is really about paying attention with intention to the world within us and the world around us. And sometimes it's hard to pay attention to the world within us, the subtleties of sensations or emotions, because we're so over indexed in the thinking mind. And we live in this virtual world, which has definitely got its benefits, but it can cut us off from these other channels of knowing. And so when we bring a quality of attention to the world around us through nature, it provides an easy access point to open up these other channels of knowing. We begin to feel again through the sense of touch. Our ears are stimulated with the sounds around us, and our heart is touched as well as we might witness beauty or even suffering in the world around us. So when we begin to cultivate that quality of awareness through nature, and bring, we then begin to be able to track for the sensations within our body, the movement of our heart when we're in a conversation with someone or when we're doing enrolled in a project. So tracking the world outside of us refines our ability to track the world within us.
Oh, here's
Also,
a comment, Lori, from Gabriella. She said, Good morning from San
uh-huh.
Francisco. I did a meditation in motion power walk in a park this morning and played with adorable doggies. I think that's exactly what you're talking about, right?
Right. And that aliveness that comes when we engage in the world around us. That's great, Gabriella. It sounds
Yeah,
like
thank
a
you.
fun morning. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks. And everyone, tell us how you're engaging with the world, just the way that Lori described, what's bringing you joy as we continue to talk about mindfulness, and just how we bring that to our ability to become a little bit more self-aware these days. Why does Esalen provide, this perfect setting? And also, we're so lucky to live in nature if we do. Why is that
Yeah.
just the perfect setting for practicing this? Because the environment changes all the time.
Yeah, well, Esalen is particularly potent in that it provides an amazing backdrop of perspective. Like you're at the ocean's edge, you've got the vastness of sea and sky. You also have access to something called deep time, which is the relationship we have to the waters that are always there, the changes that happen through fire and through the erosion of the hillside. So it gives us perspective. So both the seeing how time moves and sculpts and changes a landscape, but also the presence of beauty, the presence of awe that takes us out of ourselves a little bit. So we get perspective, we get wisdom that comes from witnessing the change of life that is played out in the landscape of Esalen. And we also have an opportunity to feel our heart touched by the beauty that's there.
I love that. And this is a photo that you shared with us. Tell us what was going on with you at this moment. Was this part of your practice in nature?
Yes, this was actually a workshop that I was assisting at Esalen a little actually earlier this year. And I'd taken my journal and I was sitting at the edge of the grass here looking out over the expanse of the water. And actually this was, I was reflecting on my father who had just recently passed. And it was just being able to be there with a tender heart and feel it held in this larger expanse of space that was really nourishing and soothing to me. And you see the beauty
Mm,
of the flowers there as well, and just that inevitability of the cycle of life just helped me feel closer to my heart and put perspective into what I was experiencing.
yeah. And I imagine the body, we talk so much about the connection between
Mhm.
heart, mind, and body. When you have your body in a space or you bring your body to a certain place through practice, how is that a window to self-awareness, or at least to practice cultivating self-awareness?
Being in touch with the body is such an important doorway into self-awareness. Our emotions, our physiological sensations that happen in the body. There's a whole literal and metaphoric body of knowledge that we can access when we bring a quality of attention to being aware of the sensations in our body. So not only does it give us insight into something that um, a quality of wisdom or awareness that might be living in us, it also gives us um, a way of connecting to the world around us, actually, because our body responds to the world around us. So as I was mentioning, the presence of beauty touches and opens the heart. It uplifts us, but we can also be touched by the presence of suffering or challenge. And if we're not connected to our body, we lose this richness of relationship. When we have more awareness of the world that's happening within us and around us, we're then more inspired to take action in a way that's supportive for our well being and the well being, really, of life and the planet around us.
So, my understanding also with this is the way I practice as well, is that this whole journey that you're describing, this connection that we're talking about, also not only leads to the way we treat ourselves and how we are, but the connection of loving kindness and
Yes.
empathy. And so much of that is needed right now. Can you describe a little bit about what journey we could be on, or at least start on, to invite more of that into the day or each and every part of our lives?
Yeah, the active, intentional inclusion of empathy, kindness, compassion. These are very adaptive states. We're living in a time right now of a lot of upheaval, a lot of volatility. A lot of people are suffering right now. And the more we cut ourselves off and maybe just even live in the conceptual world or distracted, we lose touch, literally, with the felt sense of being alive and our connection to the world around us. So, by intentionally inclining our mind towards, uh, the conditions of people around us, life around us, we're going to be more inspired to act. And not only tracking what might be challenging, but here's one of the things that's so critical, Christine, that I have found not only in my experience, but research shows this. When we intentionally incline our mind to joy, to wonder, to awe, it broadens and builds our capacity to meet what is hard. So, our meditation practice, when we're cultivating metta or loving kindness, that increases our capacity to meet what's hard in life.
Mm.
Inclining our attention towards beauty or awe, something that takes us out of ourselves, is very resourcing. So not only does it feel good, it helps cut through the apathy, the negativity, the overwhelm that so many of us are feeling right now, and buoys us up to give us the energy to meet the conditions that we're in.
That's so well said, and you're getting a lot of love. Bobby says hello from California. Greg says hello from New York, and he's loving this topic, and we love that you're here, Greg. Thank you so much. Diana says hello. So does Ellen, and Diana says she's coming to Esalen for the first time this weekend for a workshop. Way to go, Diana. We're so glad. We're so glad.
Like we,
I know, isn't that great? So
yeah,
my question here also, when you're talking about something like this, and we're talking about it in theory the way you just did, just sort of general. Can you give us a really specific example that feels safe for you to offer right now? Because we're in such this weird time. And I want to just really bring this to life, what you just talked about taking us out of apathy and moving us into empathy, taking us out of a place where we just don't care, but bringing us more into a place of compassion, because it can be numbing what we're going through. And if you feel that
yeah,
way, please give us a little support, because I feel like this is just continuing to go on and we just start to like get a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? You know, when you just kind of feel numb about it and it's like you're
yeah.
apathetic, you know?
Yeah, apathy. And I love that, from apathy to empathy, and um, from feeling this overwhelm to feeling resource. So very specific, like most of us know that experience of doom scrolling, like we're online and we're just seeing
Oh
all the things
gosh,
that are
yes.
challenging in the world. And to, like, here's where mindfulness comes in, recognizing the impact of that and maybe putting your devices away. Or when you're in the, like, the challenge of maybe working from home, homeschooling, the uncertainty of everything that's going on, taking what I call a beauty break, finding something that's beautiful or touching in your environment and let your attention linger there. So I'm looking out, there's a window behind my screen here, and I will often look up and just take a moment and take a few breaths and let myself feel the impact of being in the presence of beauty, being the presence of something that takes me out of this moment and expands myself. I was
Mm,
working with some doctors actually at Stanford, and feeling tremendous empathic burnout right now. And what they're doing is they're on their walk from the parking lot where their cars are into the hospital. They're taking a moment and actually taking in the trees, the light, the sound of the
hmm.
birds. This isn't going to take away the suffering that they're walking into, but it's resourcing. So the more we can give ourselves little beauty breaks, it's uplifting for the heart and also the mind.
I love that so much, giving yourself a beauty break, which sounds so
Yeah.
simple, but it does require that we do it. Right?
Intention.
We
Yes.
attention, like one of
Yeah.
my teachers used to say, "What is getting your full attention?" And that's such a, it's like brings you right into it. Our friend
Right.
Bill Donius is watching right now, and he said, I want to put this up here. This is a really nice comment here. Saw many showing up in recent workshops with a real loss of connection due to COVID. It's almost as if we need to learn how to be human again. Can you speak to that,
Yes.
Lori? That seems to resonate
Oh,
with you. And if it resonates with you,
absolutely.
Kira from Russia, Claire from the UK, if that resonates with you, send a little love in the chat
Yeah.
here. Thanks, Bill, for that
Yeah,
question.
definitely. And thank you for naming that so clearly, Bill. Um, and paradoxically, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but maybe surprisingly, what I have found is that when we connect to the more than human world, it actually helps us remind us of our humanity. So being in the virtual world, which again, wonderful technology that's really helpful, that's allowing us to connect from all over the planet right now. If we
Absolutely.
if we spend too much time there, though, and we forget the felt sensory experience that happens when we connect to the breeze that's hitting our skin, the smell of wet earth, the this the delight we feel when we might see and encounter a wild animal, or even the songbirds, those more than human world reminds us of our own humanity, because we touch into the place of our heart and our bodies, which
Mm.
really create that feeling of humanness. And as you're pointing to here, that feeling of connection. So we connect with our dimensions of experience. We connect with the multi-dimensional experience of life beyond us. And that connection, I think, is essential for our well-being.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about well-being, how might this feel in the body? Since we've talked so much about mind-body connection and the ability to connect with others, what does this feel like when I'm practicing what you're describing here? And if you're joining us on Esalen Live, we're with Lori Schwanbeck, a mindfulness guide. We're talking about her workshop coming up in Esalen, but we also want to know if this is resonating with you. What brings you joy right now? And you have a couple minutes left to ask her your questions. So get on that chat. Emotionally, physically, how will this feel when we do and practice what you are describing? Looking out the window, noticing blue sky, noticing a cloud, feeling the cool earth, like you say. How will this feel? So we
I
know.
simply say, Christine, you feel alive. And with that, sometimes there's joy, sometimes there's heartache, sadness. Um, Sometimes there's just this quickening of just this feeling of aliveness. And so with that is the whole range. Um, we're inclining towards joy because that uplifts, broadens, and builds. But when we open the heart, we feel the full range of what it means to be human.
Well, on that note, I want to direct people to listen to a description that you're going to give us about your workshop with Mark. So here's Mark. If you have never met Mark, that's your partner, Mark, and the two of you are leading this upcoming workshop, Awakening Joy and Wonder, a mindfulness in nature retreat. Can you give us an idea of the practices we're going to experience if we go to this?
Yes, we'll be integrating. I mean, it's a mindfulness in nature weekend. So we will be outside the whole time. We will be dropping into opening our senses, our hearing, our seeing, our smelling, our just that aliveness that comes from being embodied. We're also going to be intentionally tracking for those things that uplift us, whether it's through any of those channels of the sensory realm, and what uplifts and touches the heart. And we will also be connecting into the elements, the sky, the element of fire that's through the sun, the earth element, so that we begin to feel our connection to something that takes us out of ourselves. And again,
Mm.
paradoxically, that taking out of ourselves actually brings us closer in to what is possible within us. So we'll be doing movement, we'll be doing sitting practice, we'll be doing dialogue, and we'll be sourcing wisdom from listening to the earth.
And that workshop happens September 10th through 12th. I want to bring up this question from Greg, which I think she might have already answered, Greg. So thank you for asking it. Do you recommend earthing, the concept of making sure our bare skin touches the earth? And he also mentions great meals on the ledge and then all the and all of the sea
Yes,
life in the sea. So do you recommend earthing? And Greg, thanks for that question.
earthing. Yes, earthing is, the more we can get unmediated, direct sensory experience of the earth, of the elements of the earth, it's going to be so healing for us personally. And we will begin to care for the earth more. I see that Simon is on here. He is someone I know who's doing a lot of work environmentally. And there's something about moving from the conceptual into the felt experience of our relationship with the planet that begins to not only heal us, but we then act in service of healing that which we know we're part of. So earthing, absolutely essential.
Yeah,
Watering.
Simon says he just realized he needs to walk in the forest today. And real quick, I'm going to squeeze this in, Diana. This is a complicated question, so maybe just a short answer, Lori. What tips to move to the center of focus of the mind,
From the mind.
from the mind, concepts future past to intuitive viscera now intelligence? Good
Uh,
question.
so like this is going to be our weekend, but just right now, I just invite everyone just to take a breath and to feel that breath moving through the body. Feel the movement of the body as it expands and contracts to connect with life. expanding and contracting. You might even notice what's present here in the heart. So the breath is a very simple, immediate access point.
Just breathe, everybody. Lori Schwanbeck with that advice and so much more. She and Mark Coleman with an upcoming workshop. Check it out. Stay connected with Esalen, everybody. This has been Esalen Live. We'll see you another time. Have a great day.